Welcome everyone to the real, oh my God, not the real, the Everything Show, 748, the 3-year anniversary, part 7. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
It's early in the morning, so didn't have my coffee yet. Please excuse the bloopers. All right, so what's up, Chris?
Well, no, again, I know we said we weren't going to discuss more of this, but there was some more information that came out, and we wanted to do a show about it. Again, this is going to be heavy spoilers for Shin Gojira, mostly towards apparently what happens toward the end of the film.
Right, and for those of you who don't know who Shin Gojira is, it's Godzilla Resurgence.
Yes.
So, spoilers, get ready. Here we go.
So if you don't want to hear them, stop watching now. Joe will put it in the title so that you guys know going in.
Yes.
So basically, we have kind of like, I'll just go through kind of the events, I guess, from what I'm being told and what we're all being told that happened in the movie. Apparently, it starts off, with in or around the Tokyo Aqua Tunnel, which is a real place, I believe, in Tokyo. Some red goo or blood is like around there. Apparently, it gets into the tunnel. It gets onto some people. Hijinks ensue. The first form of Godzilla lands, eats all this organic matter, turns into the secondary form of Godzilla.
Well, wait. Hold on for a second. So they're in a tunnel. There's blood. The blood goes where?
Apparently, it gets on people. Like, it leaks onto people.
And from the people, like, what is Godzilla at this point in time? A tadpole?
At this point right now, he's in what we're assuming is his tadpole form.
He's a Godzilla's a tadpole.
Yeah, but like giant, like to say tadpole, that's what. Don't think of an actual tadpole like a frog. What they mean is more of like this is his first stage. Like this is Shin Gojira stage 1, because it really doesn't look anything like a tadpole. Apparently, the way they described it was
like a moth or a larva.
No, he's got legs, but like he can't walk. Apparently, like he has no arms. He pushes himself on the ground with his legs. Like he can't stand up. But after he eats all this organic matter, he stands up. He grows arms.
Why is he there in the first place, though?
Well, that's the question. Nobody has answered that. Apparently, he just shows up. Like he's just, oh, there he is. Like
I'm a tadpole. I'm God Tadpole. Or
so
tadpole. Okay.
He eats all this organic matter. He goes into his second form. He stands upright. He's got arms. He's smaller than what we've seen. And apparently he goes back into the ocean. Later on, he comes back as the Shin Gojira we've seen in the trailers. So he attacks the city. The government's trying to stop him. The U.S. gets involved. They're like, you got to nuke him. You got to nuke him. That's the only way you're going to stop him. And one thing that I'm intrigued by is that apparently people who have seen it have said it sounds like the U.S. knew about Godzilla before he attacks.
Oh, I don't like that.
So I'm intrigued by that because if they do a sequel, I want to know, did he get created by the U.S.? Did they accidentally make him? Is he a byproduct of something? That's something they could explore, maybe.
Okay.
So they're doing all this stuff. They're shooting him with all these things. They're really trying to stay away from using a nuke. They're like, we're not going to nuke him. There's still people in the city. We're trying to get people out. But, and apparently one person described it as that he doesn't really attack anything until he's attacked. So, like, if you provoke him, that's when he starts attacking. They said it's almost like he's on a mission to get somewhere, but he never gets there, apparently. So they're doing all this stuff. There's apparently a scene at night where I don't know if he uses his atomic breath beforehand, but we got a really good detailed rundown of what this scene is, and it's backed up by a picture that we saw. Apparently, when he uses his atomic breath first, it starts out as like a gas that he breathes from his mouth, which then it goes all over the city. Then it ignites into fire, and then it turns into a very thin beam of like a purple laser. But what they described was, they were like, think of like a blowtorch. The beam isn't coming from like inside his throat. It starts at the front of his mouth and then just shoots out. I'm not a big fan of that. That to me is kind of meh.
Oh, wait. So he blows smoke out or some type of gas. the gas ignites in the air like a cloud.
Like napalm, almost something like that. Yeah. Or not napalm. I'm sorry. Like oxygen. You ever see like oxygen when it ignites? Like
Or sort of
movies?
like when it's the winter time and you're breathing and it's like cold air coming out.
Well, that's like what it looks like when it comes out. But when it ignites, what I'm saying is like you ever like see like NASA when they do tests on like oxygen and it blows up. That's what it was like. They're like, it's a very violent explosion that pretty much destroys most of the city. Then the second part, or the third part really, it turns into a purple beam and it causes major destruction when it hits.
Like, what are they going for here? They're going for
I know
shock
exactly
value?
I know exactly what that is. That is apparently a beam attack used in Evangelion. This is basically an Evangelion Godzilla. That's what they're referring it as.
So, are they going to shock fans thinking that they don't know what the hell is happening because this is unlike any Godzilla they've ever seen before?
That's exactly what they're going for.
They'll like it because they're like, oh, that's cool.
Well, that's exactly what they're going for.
But that's probably not what's going to happen.
It's working on some people. Some people absolutely love this. They're so happy that it's something way unique and new, which I understand where they're coming from. I don't agree.
It's going the new fans that are not even fans yet, but now are new fans probably are liking this because they never seen the original Godzilla before.
Well, I've seen a lot of normal, like old Godzilla fans that absolutely love this.
Oh no!
Like those pictures hit the internet and they're like, "Yes, finally!" But I've also seen a lot of people who I agree with who are like, "I don't really like this." Right. Then there's people going to the extreme, which I don't agree with, going, this isn't Godzilla, this is 98-2, this is ridiculous. I don't agree with that. I agree with the people who are like, I don't like this version of Godzilla. It's not.
In other words, not make a big deal out of it, just like that sucks, and that's it.
Yeah, because I would be making more of a big deal out of it if we didn't have the legendary Godzilla. If this was the first Godzilla we got in 12 years, I'd be like, what the hell were you thinking?
Right.
But, but anyway, to kind of continue, he does the tail laser thing. There's a scene where he gets bombed.
Okay, so his tail. Again, I'm sorry for stopping. I'm going to be stopping from now because I'm kind of confused, and the audience needs to understand too. So his tail shoots the fire out too, or
his tail shoots the purple beam as well. They said there's the scene in this movie where when he's shooting the purple beam out of his mouth, the purple beam is coming out of his tail as well. He arches it over his head almost, and then the beam comes out of the end.
So he can make stuff come out of his tail now. That's why his tail is long like that. It's
this isn't even. Let me just say this. This isn't even the strangest thing about his tail.
All right, let's one at a time. So his tail is like a machine gun.
His tail is like another living organism.
His tail is like His tail is like another monster, but like connected to him or something.
Apparently, they don't say that in the movie, but people who have seen it, especially one person that I know is telling the truth because I've seen them do other things like this. They said that specifically, it's almost as if his tail has its own consciousness or something like that, because the reason it's always moving, they said that it's very no pun intended, telltale that this thing, it's almost like it's moving by itself, that Godzilla's not consciously moving it, except to aim the beam when he's firing it.
Could it be that his tail, something latched onto his tail, like another organism that made a tail bigger than what it was, but it's actually not?
Let me explain what happens at the end of the movie, because this is where I'm not trying to make fun of you, Joe, at all. This is where I think you're going to say, I'm done. I'm out. No more. And I don't blame you. I really don't. So all this stuff is happening. The U.S. bombs him from the back. That's when he shoots the lasers out of his back. They said it's almost like that's his weak point, because when they bomb his spines, he actually reacts to it like he feels pain. And that's when the beams start shooting out of his back. Then Japan comes up with this idea, because apparently when he releases his beams, he goes into a hibernation mode because he uses his energy. So he sleeps in like Tokyo, or around Tokyo Station, I believe.
He stands up and sleeps?
I don't know how that happens. I think he does, because a big part of the plan for Japan is they develop, or they not develop, but they have this coagulant that they said, we're going to use this to kind of get into his body, and it's going to cause this, blood coagulant, like, it stops you from bleeding.
Okay.
So they have this on a massive scale, and their plan is, we're going to knock him over so he can't get up, and we're going to shoot this stuff into his body continuously until he solidifies. And that's literally what happens. They knock him over while he's sleeping. They said, and they described it like this: you ever get like somebody runs into your room while you're sleeping and wakes you up, and you like jump out of bed and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
They said that's what happens to him. Basically, he's in this hibernation mode. They start attacking him, and he freaks out, and he's like, what's going on? They knock him over. They pump this coagulant into him, and that's how they stop them. That's how they stop him. He's basically solidified in the heart, I believe, of Tokyo.
What do you mean, like statue? He becomes like a statue?
Basically, yeah. They said he's not dead, but he's solidified, like completely, from the inside out. Now, this is where I think you're gonna say I'm done. Apparently, take this with a grain of salt right now, but everything I've read have said this is absolutely true. There's a close-up of his tail solidified at the end of the movie, and what you see in the tail solidified are humanoid creatures reaching out of his tail, and they have Godzilla spines on their back.
Okay. This is like an Alien 4... Alien, like human-looking alien. Wait a minute. So his tail gives birth?
What I'm getting from this is, apparently what they were going for was, if he was not solidified at this point, either there were the people he ate at the beginning of the movie have become a part of his biology, or at some point, and this isn't in the movie, but at some point, I guess maybe his tail would open up and they would come out, I guess, because apparently his tail has like a mouth thing at the end of it.
Okay, so wait a minute now. So are they saying, like, he's supposed to eat Japan and become Japan? Like Japan's in him or something?
They're saying, and the director said this way back when, but nobody really paid attention to it. At least I didn't, and a lot of other people didn't. The director described, he was like, this Godzilla is a fusion of all life on Earth. And I was like, I don't like that. That's not Godzilla, in my opinion. But right, apparently there are what they're describing as either skeleton-like or human-like beings, and they said specifically, if you look at their backs, they have spines coming out of them like Godzilla.
So, you know how like Freddy Krueger would like absorb souls and then something would happen?
That is exactly what somebody said. They said the exact same thing you just said. They said, imagine Freddy Krueger lifting up his shirt and you see like the faces in his body. They're like, that's exactly what it looked like.
So he's like a Godzilla absorber-loaf?
They're saying, you know what it's like? It's like The Thing. From, John Carpenter's The Thing?
Yeah.
They said that's basically what he's like.
Oh, God.
Light version of that.
Why?
Yeah.
What? I thought like they're supposed to make him out to be like in Japan a hero, defending the whatever, and then sometimes he's not a hero, sometimes he's a villain.
Well, they said they wanted this to go back to 54, where he was just a nightmare.
That's not 54. I mean, I don't remember humans with Godzilla spines. Like, so you can have naked humans coming out of the tail.
That's what apparently they're saying. Yeah.
Wait, that's retarded.
Yeah. I don't agree with that at all. I'm not a fan of that at all.
What is the point? They're going to come out and then he's going to awaken because the tail awakens?
I don't know. Apparently they're dead in his tail. Like when this is what I got from this.
They're dead in his tail, but then they're moving?
No. They're not moving. Basically what happened was, you remember how I said that they used this coagulant to solidify him?
Right.
What I'm getting from this is that when these things saw that this was happening to Godzilla, they were trying to get out, but before they could, they got solidified as well. Because they said they're not alive, but it looks like they're reaching out when they got solidified by the coagulant. Which means to me that they were in his tail if they're alive. If they were alive, that means they're in his tail the whole time.
So Please forgive me if I use some foul language.
Go for it.
So his tail is like his asshole that he shits out human Godzillas?
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds more like the alien queen birth sac. You know how it has that thing at the end that the eggs come out of? That's what it sounds like to me. Like, I can't believe this is me talking about Godzilla.
Wait a minute. So Godzilla's asshole has a consciousness in the tail. And
his tail does, yeah.
And shit comes out of the tail, but it's not, it's human Godzilla shit. Like,
well, I wouldn't describe it like that, but
wait, okay, so it's humans with spines that are like Godzilla, but they're in his tail.
They're in his tail, yeah.
And they're dead.
They're dead now, yeah. At the end of the movie.
So like the tail opens up and they come out, or like?
Well, that's what, like, there was a lot of people a long time ago saying, you remember when we forgot that first trailer? And people were like, what's wrong with this? Or the second trailer, I should say. They were like, what's wrong with his tail? Like, even we said, it looks like there's a whale skeleton on his tail, right?
Okay.
There's apparently a port where the beam comes out of, but I guess, theoretically, they didn't show this in the movie, so this is just me speculating. But I guess what they were trying to go for was, at some point, this was going to open up and these things were going to come out of it.
So these people are from him. It's not like a portal or something. And
no, because he eats people at the beginning of the movie, apparently. I think it's those people. Yes, because the organic matter, part of it is people, apparently.
But I think that's what happened to him. I thought Godzilla don't eat people.
He doesn't. This Godzilla does, though.
This Godzilla eats people. So this is like a rampage.
This is how he changes form. The more organic matter he eats, the more he incorporates into his biology, and the stranger he becomes.
Okay, so let's back up. There's a tunnel.
Yes.
With blood on the tunnel for no reason.
Apparently it just shows up there because he shows up there.
The blood goes into the ground and it somehow goes on people like the Blob or something, and they start flipping out or whatever, and then this giant tadpole is just there that nobody's seen, that's like hundreds of feet tall or whatever feet tall, and just for no reason this tadpole eats the people.
Oh, it has a reason. It's just, it's trying to incorporate as much organic matter into it as possible.
I'm trying to get this right. Okay, so this giant tadpole that nobody's ever seen ever, but it's just there with blood for no reason, like goes on to people, he eats people, and then he becomes like a somewhat Godzilla, like but eating people. No plot, no purpose, just walking around, eating people. Like, what? Here's the thing, right? With the original Godzilla, right? Didn't they use like the nuclear weapon and it created him, and he's like revenge and he's destroying. There's a purpose. There's a plot. There's a story. He's pissed off. You made him into this huge monster, and now he's going to destroy the people that created him because of their negligence with the war and the weapons, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So there's no purpose here because he's just there before any nuclear weapon, right?
Well, this is the thing. The Japanese fans who have seen this movie, as well as the English fans who are saying that this is what's happening. They've said, if you look at what's been happening in Japan recently, like in the recent years with the Fukushima disaster and the political landscape in Japan, they're saying there's a lot of subtext with Godzilla in this movie. It's not necessarily, we nuked him, he's pissed, or we were negligent with nuclear power and we have this. It's more of, this is kind of the geopolitical landscape in Japan right now, turned into a giant monster.
This is like their giant smog monster movie, like with the waste and Hedorah. So why don't they just call it Hedorah then?
It's funny because the producer of Godzilla vs. Hedorah had a very heavy hand in the idea for this movie. Same thing with 2014, except in 2014.
So in other words, let me get, this is my opinion, okay? Toho gives the rights to America to do the Matthew Broderick Godzilla. I'm saying Matthew Broderick, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
98, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but some people don't know 98, so they don't know when it comes out. So Matthew Broderick Godzilla, right? So Toho loses their shit because, like, that's not Godzilla. Godzilla eggs and T-Rex or whatever it is. How dare they do that? Now we got to do Final Wars, right?
Well, no, now they did 2000.
Right. Well, then we got to do Godzilla 2000. Thank you. I'm sorry. So now they're doing the very thing that America did with Matthew Broderick's Godzilla, where they're doing something that's not Godzilla, but they're putting the name of Godzilla on it. Because I'm sorry, with all the Godzilla movies I saw, which I've seen every one, I didn't see his tail have a consciousness. I didn't see human beings in his tail. I didn't see him as a tadpole. Yeah, we saw a movie where he talked, but that was ridiculous. But I didn't see any of this, and only he shot fire out of his mouth, not his tail or his asshole. And there wasn't no light show like he's a disco ball where it's coming from his pores. I didn't see him breathe breath to go across the whole landscape like a cloud and then ignite it like a. Okay, so I don't like this. Okay, I hate this. This sucks. Now, when I see it, I'm gonna probably hate it even more. But and again, I do apologize, but I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do. But they should not call it Godzilla, because that is nothing like any Godzilla thing I've ever seen. It doesn't even resemble Godzilla. He's not likable, because I thought you're supposed to like him with a fan base that, oh yeah, he's fighting this monster. Oh yeah, he's fighting Japan because they pissed him off. There's nothing to like about this. Like, almost like as if they want us to hate him. Like,
well, that's what they do. What they're going for is they're going for the feel of 54, where you're not supposed to root for him. You're supposed to be afraid of him. But to me, I'm not afraid of this.
You'll never have a sequel.
I'm not afraid of this. To me, I just look at this and I'm like, okay.
So some schmuck just had the power to have Godzilla's legacy in his hands and do his own movie without any restrictions, without any, you can't do this, you can't do that. And everybody's fine with it, and they pop this shit out. Now, if it fails, right, why do they have to be immature with egos and go after us with Legendary?
Well, that's just speculation. Like, when I say that, I'm only speculating. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
So I consider this a failure because I'm in this one instance, I'm closed-minded and biased and stubborn, and I feel that this would be like a thing where in Final Wars, Godzilla fought the American Godzilla and beat him in 29 seconds. Like, they should have the legendary Godzilla just, like, burn him up and kill him, because this guy sucks. This Shin Gojira.
I want to address two things, too. I mean, first of all, unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately because I haven't seen the movie yet, but on all intents and purposes, right now, it looks like it's going to be a very successful movie.
Ugh.
Everybody who's seen it has said, despite what happens with Godzilla and the way he is, they said it's a good movie. Like, it's shot well, the acting is good, the cinematography is good. I've seen some of the acting. I'm on board. The cinematography looks great. The music is very good. The character, there's one character in the movie, the main character, who at one of these meetings says, like, there's a possibility that the Tokyo Tunnel was destroyed by a massive creature, and nobody believes him. And the face he makes when they're like, no, shut up, nobody believes you. I was like, damn, this guy's really good. They're saying it's a good movie. They're just saying the Godzilla in the movie is like, what the hell?
But that's the whole point. This is his movie.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't give a shit about the cannon fodder and all that other crap. This is Godzilla. You can't. This is like.
Well, the other thing I wanted
around in a ballerina. This is retarded.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to address too was, remember how everybody was pissed off that there were a lot of human scenes in Godzilla 2014?
Right.
Apparently, there's a lot of human scenes in this movie as well.
Oh God! Are they gonna put a black cape on and try to be like the Matrix, like they did with the Final Wars? Oh,
no. Right. It's a lot of like, what are we gonna do? How do we stop him? We're gonna do this, but they said it's fast paced though, so that's good.
All right, I just don't want to see that anymore. I'm sorry, Chris, but I grew up.
No, I understand.
So I'm fighting monsters. So I want to see Godzilla fighting monsters. This nonsense is not as appealing to me as him fighting, because that's what I grew up on. But I don't like this. Again, I'll try to be open-minded about it, and I'll try to see it, but I don't like anything that distorts the original vision of what I like, okay? I don't like when they change things so dramatic that it's unrecognizable to me. So I'm going to have a problem with this movie, and I'm probably going to rip it like I did Batman vs. Superman.
I don't blame you. I have to say, like I said, I'm not one of these people who's saying, "Oh, this isn't Godzilla." It is Godzilla. Unfortunately, this is Godzilla 2016. It's definitely becoming one of my least favorite Godzillas.
Right.
I don't hate it. I just don't understand it. I don't understand what the point of all of this is.
And people are going to probably reflect about my opinion with other matters and other movies, and I'm going to just explain this.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla is a monster, okay? He's not a person. It's not an actor, not an actress. They could always get a different model of a Godzilla or different thing, okay? So he's not in the same classification, let's say, of the Ghostbusters, okay? Ghostbusters, you know, they're older now. They don't want to do it anymore. We have new people doing the female Ghostbusters. This is different. This is, you know how Godzilla is supposed to be. And this is totally something alien that I don't know where they got this from. Why did they do this? Do they plan to make sequels of this garbage? Because if this is what it's going to be from now on, then Godzilla is dead as far as I'm concerned in Toho, and all these new people that are going to be coming into it are going to accept this as that's the way it has to be, and I can't have that. So, you know, Godzilla, if this is the thing, and if people love this movie, then we're going to get this forever. We're in Toho. We're going to have, you know, stuff shooting out of his ass, shooting out of his legs. I mean, this is stupid stuff. What is he going to do next? He's going to go into a ball like Gamera and shoot oxygen out and spin around? I mean, this is like when he was riding on his back with the tail, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what the hell was that? You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's absolutely. I agree, because, you know, when I heard these things, I was like, this sounds like when he turned into a magnet, and then when he was flying, and when he was doing like the jujitsu moves, and the dance, and I'm like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, listen, I like that.
Well, the dance was fun.
And then the body slam, and I accepted certain things. Like the tail thing, I just don't understand to this day. Did he alter, like, to create a gravity bubble around him that he just pushed himself with?
We're never going to understand that, ever.
Like, when he's on his tail like that, I just don't know. But I let it go. You know, especially let it go when somebody tried to translate what they were talking to each other.
Oh my gosh, I was in Gigan versus Gigan.
And Anguirus is like, "Oh, Godzilla, we're going to do this." And then, no. I'm like, what? It's like a kid. I'm like, at the time, I'm like, this is cool. But then when I saw it later on, I'm like, that's horrible, you know? So, damn. What the F are they doing with Godzilla Resurgence? Shin Gojira, it sounds like shit to me.
Well, now we know what Shin means.
Shit.
Well, I mean, for real, they said that, you know, you could use it as true new Godzilla.
That's not true.
New Godzilla. That's what it is. It's a new Godzilla.
New Godzilla. Okay, well, new Godzilla. Hopefully, old Godzilla kicks his ass. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm interested to see what happens if more people gravitate, like people who don't like this. I'm interested to see if they gravitate more towards what Legendary puts out.
I would hope so.
I'm interested in seeing that.
Listen, I just hope that the Godzilla fans out there just grow a pair and say, hey, make a stand. If you really don't like it, say it. You know, don't accept it because it has Godzilla's name on it. You know, just like if you have a food and all of a sudden they change the formula of the food and they have a label on it that this is our brand and it sucks. Just say it sucks. Don't be like, yeah, I like it because I want them to make more Godzilla, you know, but I don't want. No, it sucks. That's it. Don't fear about it. We'll never see it again. Just,
I agree.
If it's horrible, it's horrible. That's it.
And I want to say too, for people out there who do like it, don't let us ruin it for you.
Yeah.
Like it, support it. If you love this, great. I hope you watch more. I hope they make more for you. But what you got to see, we're coming from a standpoint of people who don't necessarily like what they're doing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
If they could do a Shin Gojira 2, 3, 4, I don't care about that as long as they continue the regular Godzilla brand. You know, if they have Godzilla 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Shin Gojira, I don't care about that. Just like Mega Man and Mega Man X. Okay, if I could use that analogy. So again, I don't hate on people that like the movie because they may like the movie. Just like people shouldn't hate on me for liking the female Ghostbusters. That has nothing to do with how I love. I mean, I have to bring this up because like people going to me, they're like, well, if you like the female Ghostbusters, then you've never seen the original Ghostbusters. And I had this from a 28-year-old guy that I said, dude, I've watched Ghostbusters more times than, before you even born, let alone when you first pooped. Because basically, I mean, you don't even understand how much I'm into that stuff. So I can like something and it has nothing to do with what I liked before, I may like Shin Gojira. I may not. I don't think I'm gonna. But that's not going to take away my love for Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? The original. And the movies we've seen after, So we'll see.
I think it's just, it happens, you get one version of Godzilla that you don't like. I have a version of Godzilla that I don't like very much. I'm not a big fan of the way Godzilla was in Mothra versus Godzilla. I was kind of like, meh, whatever. This one, it's for different reasons, but I don't think that all these changes were necessary. I think they could have done something new without going too far.
The one thing I didn't like was the American one when they made them look totally different. I mean, I may have bought the merchandise on it, because I thought it was cool, but I didn't really accept that as Godzilla. And I would have wished they would have called it something else, other than like Monster in New York movie or something like that, All right, that's our rant for Shin Gojira, Godzilla Resurgence. We will be talking about this on the podcast still, even though we said we weren't. Sometimes we get a little angry and we say we're gonna, but we will be talking about this at different time periods, different times throughout the week or month or whatever. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure when we find out the release schedule here, we're gonna go see it. You're gonna go see it, right, Chris?
I might. I mean, I'm
definitely gonna. If I have the opportunity, I'm definitely gonna go see it.
The reason I say I might is because if it gets a limited release, I don't know where around me they would show it. I might have to drive to Orlando or something, and I might be in school. But I don't know. Hopefully, I can go see it.
Somehow we'll see it. I'm sure, and then we'll do our review of it, and that's it. Yeah. All right. On that note, guys, we may hear from us later. You may not, but enjoy your weekend otherwise.
Yep.
And take care. Bye for now. Thank you, Chris.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.